There are no bad shots, especially on this podcast.
Yeah. We are back with another episode of the No Bad Shots podcast with my co-host Alyssa Charleston and myself, Stephen Madison. And today we have an awesome guest, one of your favorites, one of my favorites, good guy, John Newlee, the head coach of the University of Idaho women's basketball, and he was unbelievable. That guy can talk, and he is unreal amount of knowledge that he has.
Oh
in
my
the
gosh.
basketball world, just everything. It was great to see someone how innovative he's been as a coach and how he's been able to adapt to the times, and that's what has led to his success. And I can't thank him enough for coming on. It was unbelievable.
He gave us so much time, and I learned way more than I knew about him, like where he kind of developed the offensive mindset that he had that I loved, that involved a lot of shooting and freedom. He is such a great basketball mind. And if you are a basketball nerd, and in general, if you like basketball, you will love the conversation we had, because we got into depth. We got into, my years that feel like a million years ago, because I feel like I'm like geriatric now, but he is one of the biggest influences in my life. And I told him that, and he always will be. And we basically decided at the end of it, all three of us need to go to the corner club, get a beer, in one of these days coming up soon when COVID continues to calm down. So what we also want to do on this podcast, we saw on Twitter, follow us on Twitter. I believe it's at No Bad Shots. I think it's just easy like that. No Bad Shots Pod.
Yes,
I think at No Bad Shots Pod. Make sure to follow us. And if you want to ask us questions, Stephen got a question this week from Marten Hiemstra that he didn't answer on Twitter, so he's going to do it here. What was it like playing all the time against Simbular? And before you answer it, tell us who he is.
It's actually funny because I was just talking to a couple of guys on my team about Simbular actually yesterday. It's funny that
he's still in your life today. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, it's just when you talk about one of the biggest human beings you've ever seen in your life and played against, it's tough because he is definitely that guy. And Simbular is a guy that Indian Canadian that,
wow.
Yeah, from Canada, but he's Indian descent. Played at New Mexico State, 7'4", came in as a freshman around 400 pounds, lost about 100 pounds in his first. Yeah, lost about 100 pounds in his first year. Unbelievable player. That's the thing that people don't realize. A guy of his size had unbelievable touch. That's what I was telling people. He shot like 80% from the free throw line. Obviously got fouled a lot. Got fouled way more than they called because it's just hard to call fouls on somebody when they're not getting moved.
Mm-hmm.
But unbelievable player. Always enjoyed playing them. They were always good, so it was always that challenge of like, hey, we're going up against the best team tonight. They got one of the best big men in the nation. It's go time for sure. But there is definitely a few times stories that I can vividly remember, and one of them is he dunked on me and didn't jump, which was which was really interesting. So we're playing in the dome. We played like a 3-2 zone kind of zone. And I was the 4-man, so I'd get caught on the block with him. And they tell you don't let him catch the ball deep, don't let him seal you deep. Well, he sealed me at the block, so it was bad already. He caught it, looked over his shoulder, looked, and I'm like in a stance with my elbow out at his hip, like trying to stop him. He just looked, and then just turned and dunked it, and didn't even jump, and just turned and dunked it right over me without even jumping, because I was just so low, like trying to fight for him for position. And it was really unreal. He just dunked it and then ran back, didn't say nothing. He was always like a nice guy, for sure. But
just politely ruining your ego.
Yeah, that was definitely one of them. And that's what I tell the guys too. When I was on offense, I would just run and just jump into his basically his lap trying to get a foul and just see if I can get a foul call, because he wasn't going to take a charge and he could just stand there and block all of us. So it was like I would just try to get into his arms before he could get his arms up. And maybe I can get an and one foul. And I got a couple of them, and he'd get pissed. Like, I'm just standing here, man. Like, what am I supposed to do? The guy just flies into my lap. Like, I got to catch him. And so it was interesting playing him, man. It was definitely a fun time, because we definitely had our battles. We'd win at home, lose there type thing. And obviously, like Coach Newlee talked about, we lost to them in the title game, which was a battle too. But unbelievable player. I hope I answered your question there, Marten. He also gave me a concussion too. That was interesting.
A real one?
Yeah, that was like, I think that was one of the first times I was ever like, okay, this is a concussion, because
Yeah.
we were playing them in Vegas, and it was the same type of thing. We're in the zone. They set a double high ball screen. He rolls. Our thing was, okay, you got to meet him at the free throw line so he can't wait, get you all the way to the hoop. Same type of thing. I get there, get low like this. They threw it to him quick, and he just turned, didn't even have his elbows up, just turned like this, but his elbow was at my face and just caught me dead in the face. Like, just normal.
Big.
Yeah, he's just that tall. So it was just a normal turn. He's like, oh, boom. I'm just on the ground.
Hospital.
Hospital.
Oh my gosh. That's so
Yeah.
funny to hear your like comparisons of like you jumping into his lap. Like that just shows the height discrepancy because you're 6'6". This dude was
Yeah.
legit a 7-footer. How tall you say? 7'4"?
7'4". I have a picture. If I can find it, we'll post it. We'll post it on Instagram
Or like,
or Twitter.
yes, people who want to know right now, look it up because that dude was a monster.
There's one of him. He's like
a
he's like
gentle
this.
giant.
Yeah, there's one of those where he's like that trying to get the ball, and I'm just like holding him like this, and I'm like at his waist. Yeah, and he's just way above me. I'm just like, oh man.
Unique. It's cool to have those stories to tell later on when you're no longer in that situation because
Yeah,
it's like a monster.
For real.
Yeah. Okay, so love those questions. If you guys have any fun ones, just always send them in. I even asked a few people if they had questions for John Newlee, so we're willing to take suggestions if you know who we're about to interview that day. But we will get to Coach Newlee in a second, but we also want to talk on this podcast about giving a little bit of advice or making situations relatable that you guys experienced, that we also experienced hardcore after graduating from college as a student athlete, when every moment of your day is planned out and then you graduate and it's not. And sometimes you gain some weight, sometimes you eat too much, sometimes you stub your toe and you wake up the first thing out of bed that Stephen wanted to tell the story about. Like you lose a little bit of your athleticism. But there were a few other things we wanted to talk about this week real quick.
Yeah, I think one of the big things we kind of touched base before this was a resume. So, especially when you're an athlete and you get a chance to play professional, you're in a sense you're putting yourself behind the normal population of, hey, I'm going. Some people, they don't even go to college; they go right into a job at 18. Some people, they go to college and they're done and they are getting a job at 22, 23. Some people get their master's and they're going on to those parts of, they're 27, 28, going into, a more difficult job field. But as an athlete, all you've done is like, and I know for me, and I know some people have jobs throughout their career as an athlete in high school and in college. But for me, it's like, it was such a full-time thing that I never did any other work. So it's interesting when I got done playing basketball, it's like, you need a resume. And I'm like, okay. I took those classes in college that told me about my resume and stuff. I get it, but what the heck do I put on it? Like, if I'm not going into something basketball related, then I haven't done anything. But you know what I mean?
Player, yeah.
It's weird. It's like, okay, so I played, and then I talked to someone like, yeah, you have you played on this team, you played on this team, you did this, you won this many games, you did all this, and I'm like, it's weird to highlight yourself in that way. You're like literally just building your accolades on a piece of paper to tell people that, hey, I was committed to this, I was successful at this. And it was just an interesting learning curve for me, for sure. I mean, obviously you're a lot more professional than I am, so you had it down to a T, but
yeah, way more professional, for sure.
But I don't know if you felt the same
really
way.
didn't have. No, I totally did. We didn't have to be, and this is a wonderful blessing that Coach Newlee didn't require us to be on campus for the summer and doing workouts in the summer. So I got to do an internship at KXLY where I ended up working, several years later during one of the summers. So that was like my only thing. And then I was a sports broadcasting. Shout out to Julie Scott. Love her and her amazing system she has out there. Glenn Mosley, wonderful people out there that helped me in my career. But that was really the only thing that I had, like inside the Vandal stuff. And it's so hard to get stuff on your resume if you're a regular college student too. And I think you're basically making stuff up, like, mowed the lawn for my dad. I don't know if you can put that on a resume. Like the resume was babysit. The resume was super light if you played. And then you played overseas too. So that struggle is real. If anyone feels that, we feel that too. But if you are an athlete where we're at now, play that up too. I mean, it's not everything. It's not your only thing that you should talk about. And like, also don't think that you're just going to make it and go to the league. Like NFL guys, NBA guys, like you can speak to the NBA, the NFL, but it's so hard to make. So like, don't just rely on your athleticism, but when you're in that job market afterward, like play that up. Like don't be shy about like, yeah, I was a college athlete, especially if you're Division 1, Division 2, division, all that. Like you are unique. Yeah, you are unique because of what you handled, and job seekers know that you have a crazy amount of mental toughness because of that. So that would be my advice to like, don't be afraid to talk about how much that impacted you. And like, yeah, I couldn't have a job at that time because I was committed to my craft and also getting an education. Hopefully you graduate. That's important too. If you get a full scholarship offer, but yeah, that's one struggle we had. Anything else on that?
No, it's just like you said, it is something where you learn a lot. You learn a lot of mental toughness. A lot of like coaches get on you, strength coaches get on you. Like it's a skill to learn to be able to take criticism, constructive criticism, and be able to move forward and be great at what you're doing, even when you're getting yelled at or getting told what to do. Because that's what a job is. I mean, you're getting told what to do, and if you're not able to take it, you're not going to be at that job long. So yeah, if you're an athlete out there, just be proud of what you did and use that to your advantage for real.
Yeah.
But let's hop into this
about
interview.
it. The mental toughness, that is something we definitely developed while at Idaho. You under Don Verl and me under John Newlee. He'll talk about it. He's changed his coaching philosophy a little bit, and we call him out on that a little bit because this generation, the new generation, has changed. You got to be a little bit nicer, a little more pats on the back and participation trophies. I'm kidding, not that far, but yeah, we had some times, and we got into all those things, how tough it was, the running days, all that stuff. John Newlee, big time influence in my life, great coach at University of Idaho. Let's hear from him.
Let's take a second before we get into this interview with John Newlee to talk about our sponsor, our one and only sponsor. Shout them out, theeverydayfan.com, your one-stop shop for all your sporting news. Whether it's the NBA, NFL, or even the EPL league, they have you covered. But they don't stop there. From pulp culture to wrestling and entertainment, there's something for everyone. With some of the best writers in the game, come get a fresh perspective from everyday fan like yourself. While you're there, go check out their memorabilia. It's unbelievable. They have things that you guys will for sure want, and make your man cave one to envy. That is theeverydayfan.com.
All right. Welcome to the No Bad Shots podcast. John Newlee, 3-time Big Sky Coach of the Year, 2-time WAC Coach of the Year, the best surfer in college basketball that you're going to find. One of my favorite humans of all time. Coach Newlee, thank you so much for coming on the podcast.
Oh, this is awesome. Seeing you doing this podcast with Stephen, this is great, man. I can't wait.
We talked about it before recording, but I had said a few times on the podcast before, like, I doubt Coach is going to listen to this. Like, we were deep into the podcast, and little did I know, of course, you were a huge proponent of me when I was at Idaho, and you listen to our podcasts.
Absolutely. Yeah. The first time you said that, we were driving up to the lake, me and my wife, and we just looked at each other and started cracking up. I go, let's see what Alyssa's going to come out with, thinking I'm not listening right now. And I just can't believe you wouldn't think I wouldn't listen to the podcast of one of my all-time favorite players. Come on. As soon as I saw it, I go, I'm so listening to that. Let's go.
Subscribe. I love it.
So, Coach, I just want to start off first. I know Alyssa was a big-time player, but how much did it cost to get her to Idaho?
Man, you can't even believe the amount of hours and hours and hours of talking to Alyssa to get her to quash her Big 12 dreams and come to little Idaho and make a difference. I definitely thought we were going to lose her to Iowa State without a doubt. But, I thought we had a really good connection. She had a really good connection with my associate head coach, Chris Sanford. So we just kept hoping, man. I just kept talking and talking. I probably haven't recruited a player as hard from a head coaching standpoint as Alyssa.
Wow, I didn't know that. Thanks.
Don't pump her up. Don't pump her up.
No, I have to, because I knew if she came, our program was changing, and I know the second she committed to me, I turned to my assistant coaches and said, "We're going to the NCAA tournament. that's guaranteed. Now we got to build around her. And it certainly came true, and I knew it would.
I love it. I'm actually wearing this shirt back to back.
Nice.
Back
I
to
love
back.
it. Good.
For
I
those
know you got my
for those
WAC
that aren't watching.
championship hat. I was going to sport that today.
Yes. Next time. We'll just have to have you back on.
Hey, absolutely. Anytime.
Yeah, Stephen, I saw you laugh a little bit when he said Iowa State. I was recruited by Iowa State. That's not a joke. That was real.
Cyclones.
Yeah, that is for real. Yes.
So we are so pumped to have you on this show because of all the success you've built at Idaho. Before you got there, it was like maybe a 4-win program. You've totally turned it into like the expectation is make it to the championship. Obviously, 2-time WAC Coach of the Year and 3-time Big Sky Coach of the Year. 3 conference championships since you've gotten to Idaho. What has been like the biggest part of turning the program around in Moscow? Like what's been key?
Well, the first key was signing you. That was first. And then as we came along, really, you kind of legitimized our program, top ESPN recruit and, top ranked in Washington. And I think it opened people's eyes. And I really believe that. I know, like joke around like that, but it's the truth. And, we just started getting some really good players, as when those freshmen came in. So your class, Stacy Barr, one of the all-time great Vandals as well, unstoppable when she got going. I know I started calling her the microwave as a freshman because and the microwave was either on or it was really broke. I know that one of the two. But something was gonna happen. But then when we got those freshmen to the SoCalers, Connie and Christina Salvatore, Connie Ballestero and Salvatore, and then Allie Ford, those 3, when combined with the other people that have been in the program and going, just really elevated us to that next level, and I just went all in on them. They were the best class we had recruited as a group. And I said, you guys are starting. I gave them free reign to make mistakes. And it was growing pains with those guys, but ultimately it really, really paid off. And then of course, signing the Splash Sisters who came in and had that huge impact as freshmen. And they just kept it going. And we just keep elevating, the players and their abilities. And that's what you always want to do is of course, get the next class better than the one you signed before. And we've just done a great job of identifying players who can play in the program and the style that I want. And, Krista, my associate head coach, is relentless with the texting and the calling. I mean, believe me, none of this happens without Krista. She's awesome and has been by my side, all these years since she played for me in Hawaii and Idaho State and has been coaching with me ever since. So, we have a 20-year relationship. She's like my oldest daughter now, and she just does a fantastic job. And I think that constant of us and our teamwork here at Idaho State and up here has really made a difference.
It's interesting you bring that up because it does get the ball rolling when you get one player like Alyssa. I know we're giving you a lot of love, Alyssa. Just take it like how you're gonna take it. But how things start to fall in line, as you said, like you get one player like her caliber, and then it tends for people to attract to that, and so you're able to recruit off of that. And then it just starts to build the program. Like you said, then you get the Splash Sisters and then they come in as freshmen. Like, how do you continue? I know you guys, obviously having a new arena, having the program success, how do you just keep it going there? How do things like that keep continuing to grow?
Well, I think, once you do start winning, if you can keep that going, I sell our academics here because I think people don't understand what a great academic institution the University of Idaho is, especially compared to the other ones in the state here and around up here in the Northwest. So, the high academics has always been a key for us. These players coming in are great students and they continue to do that here. Our GPA is always 3.5 or higher as a team. And that's remarkable to me. But to be able to still bring in the talent level that we do, I think we sell the winning culture. And we really sell our family values here. There's a lot of programs that talk about family now. It's like the thing to do now. But we were doing this a long time ago because I really do treat our players like I treat my daughters. And I have 3 daughters and, that when this thing started for me, my oldest daughter was only 2 years old when I got this job up here, and I was a single dad. And so she was with me a month at a time. And so she was at every practice, she's at every team thing, she's around. And, as that continued on, now I have a 3-year-old and a 2-year-old who are just itching to get back in it. COVID really wrecked that for us. But I think the players see that when they come over to my house and we have our team dinners, and they see, the love in our family and the love that I put on our players and that my coaches do, my assistants do. And I just think the culture here is so amazing. And I always say, if I can get somebody to come visit us here, we got a great chance of them staying and really committing to our program, because our players are fantastic people and they do a great job of selling what we have here. And I think as coaches, I just tell them the truth. I tell them, here's the way it is. You're going to get a great education. You're going to win. You're going to have a chance to get in the NCAA tournament. This is what we do here. And I say, Google it. I'll see what we've done here. And they do. I mean, we've been in the championship game 6 out of the last 8 years. I really think we definitely were winning last year when we got shut down, right before the championship game. We were playing our best basketball. We had split with Montana State during the year. I just said, I never felt more confident going into a championship game than I did last year. So I think our expectations are always that high. And I'm real honest with our players when they're here. We don't play mind games. There's none of that stuff. I don't put up with drama, clicks, all that stuff. They know where they stand. And I think they like that. And they love the style. They just love the style, man. We started pumping a lot of threes when I was at Idaho State. I took over the Mike D'Antoni 7 seconds or less.
Yes.
That book had a huge influence on me as a head coach. My number one influence is that book. And I really took it to heart, and I've really modeled our system after that. And then when Curry and Thompson started their thing and I had Mike and Taylor, I definitely was able to tailor, a lot of our offense to that. I'm a huge NBA fan, and the DVR is the best invention that's ever been built. So I sit there at night and I get the NBA package and I record stuff on my phone, plays that I like, and then I'll take them to practice and I'll try to say, okay, so, when we had Mike and Tay, it was easy because there's Curry, there's Thompson. Who's going to be my Draymond Green? Jerry McCorkle filled that role for me. Who's going to be my Bogut? Who's going to be, and I'll see if I can slot players in and do that. And then I see these plays and it's like my laboratory down there, and we mix and match and then we do it. And I know you guys were talking last week about the amount of plays that Verlin had, and he had a ton, but let me tell you, last year we had 160 plays.
Ooh.
So,
is that, do we have about that many? I know we had a lot.
When you were here, we probably had 120.
Okay.
Something like that, 120 to 130. We've just been added, but they're all kind of offshoots now of sets and different, looks. So out of our horn set, I might have 20 plays out of that. Out of our thunder set, and then I got some out of that. And then, so they're all lumped in it. And so I think easy to remember. I mean, our players are remembering them.
Yeah.
And we got a little more free flow. We went to where, like when you were here, Alyssa, we had a lot more sets, a lot more plays with the Splash Sisters. And then the last couple of years, I've really gone to the positionless basketball and the 5-out stuff that D'Antoni was running with the Rockets. And I stole that from him and from Billy Donovan from the Thunder. So that's what I call my Thunder set. I'm looking at some of his clinics and the stuff he put in. It's kind of a mixture of both. I've mixed with both. And I steal, the whole term death lineup from Kerr when I put Beyonce at the 5 and take out our, Natalie Klinker, or Nina Carlson, and I don't have a real 5. Well, then Beyonce becomes that person, and she brings the ball up, and then we run stuff like that. So kind of a mixture of all that stuff that I just keep looking at, and something comes to me, and I'll wake up in the middle of the night and go, yeah, we're doing that tomorrow, and I'll put the note in the phone, and off we go.
Oh my gosh, nothing surprises me more than you like waking up in the middle of the night being like, oh yeah, this one, like write it down. And we're running it the next day at practice. I remember you put in a play called Warrior at practice, and I was like, we were going through it, and I was like, I swear I saw the Warriors run this like 2 nights ago. Like I knew exactly, like that's where I got it. Like, and it's cool that you also have like grabbed from Mike D'Antoni and like that style, and it is really appealing to play in that. And from a player like me, who has never been accused of playing defense, it was a lot of fun because you get to play in this freestyle, and it was so much fun. And also shout out to Krista Brosman, but Krista Sanford. We call her Braz. She is incredible. Still one of my like closest friends, as you are. So special. Both of you guys are to me. I am curious, and this is something that's like on the men's side and the women's side, the recruiting has changed because the players have changed. And like Stephen and I will joke around about it being like players getting softer. That's not the case, but there is more of like a mental aspect to the mental health. Like even I was listening to Mark Few kind of talk to Adam Morrison about it. Like you have to treat players a little bit differently now because that's just the way the game is going. And you have been someone who has adapted to that really well because you were really tough on us like early on. Excuse me, whoa, voice crack. Early on, and like it made us better because we responded well to it. And then you kind of figured out like players after that may not respond the same way. So like, where did you start adapting to that? Because that's tough as like a coach that's been coaching for a really long time successfully to be like open to changing your recruiting style and your coaching style.
Yeah, there's no doubt. There's a definite huge shift in the players and the type of players that are coming out now. Certainly, I see it in the last 5 years, but in the last 10 years, for sure. And, I saw really after the first couple of years of being here at Idaho, because as Krista will tell you, played for me at Idaho State. It was tough. I was pretty hard-nosed and getting after people pretty good. And back then you could, and they would just kind of take it. And, now the players are changing. I think a lot has to do because of the club ball and the way the club ball is. If they don't like it, they change clubs. If they don't like that club, then their parents make up their own club for their kid and get their discontented friends to play on it. And so then when they get to college, they just think, hey, well, if I don't like it here, I'll go somewhere else. And I think so you're always dealing with that kind of mentality at times, but I think we do a great job here of really researching. And this is what I really believe is it starts with the players' parents that we recruit. And I really do. We dive deep into their family life, what they're like when I watch them play on the club circuit, how they're treating their coach, their officials, their teammates, their parents in the stands after games when they see them. We do I'm really watching that stuff and really mindful of that and not bringing in somebody that already has an attitude, no matter their skill level, because I know they're just going to wreck our culture. And, it only really takes one to come in here and that can really screw your team culture wise if enough people get on her bandwagon. So I think we're doing a good job with that, but I have had to adapt those ways and, the running punishment as everyone would say. I really went away too from the lines and the Las Vegases, as you remember the Vegas, I'm sure.
And to lock the balls up, put the balls away.
To lock the balls up. That's only like been once in the last 2 years. I think we've done that. Maybe and had to run some, and it certainly wasn't as bad as when we were doing it with you. But your guys were probably the last class that could really take it. Really, I think from Allie Ford's class back. So Salvatore, Connie, Carly Wilson, Renee, you, Stacy. You guys were old school. You could take the old John Newlee from Idaho State and younger Idaho days and really take that and thrive under that. But now, as they say, I've become the kinder, gentler John Newlee now. And I just do it a little different way. And, there's a lot more pats on the back and a lot more patience and tolerance for mistakes as they made. I mean, basketball is a game of mistakes. And I think the longer I've coached, I've certainly become much more patient with that and learned that, they have to have a longer rope especially the freshmen. And I learned that with those freshman class when they came in and letting them just go and grow with it. And, I got to look big picture now. And I think I look more big picture now than I ever have.
Both ways work.
Yeah.
Clearly.
Yeah, that's.
Go ahead, Stephen.
Did you ever kick them out of practice? Was that the old John Newlee? Did that ever happen?
Yes, that was most of the old John Newlee. Yes, that happened. That happened on several occasions. Yes.
Never because of me, right?
Not because of Alyssa. I didn't say that. But no, that has happened, and it's happened here on occasion.
Yeah.
Rarely. I'm getting a little smarter, Stephen, now because I figured out. Well, I kick him out, and then I'm like, but we need to go over this stuff today. Now I just lost the day, making a point. So I pick and choose that move.
Well, yeah.
Rarely now because I got to get stuff done, man. Our time, as you well know, both of you with these facilities here are. Jeez. I mean, you better be on point with your time, and you're in, you're out. There's no going overtimes. There's no starting early. It's what it is, and that's where the arena is going to be humongous for us and a game changer because now we'll have access 24/7, and that this point is now going to be moot having to worry about going over to Mem Gym.
Yeah, that's very true. I also had one more thing. When you're talking about the culture and everything with these young kids, talk to a little bit about the social media aspect because when I got to Idaho, Verlin he literally had no idea what Twitter, any of that thing was. Told us like, don't even go on it. Don't even waste your time. And now every coach has Twitter. Every coach is on that. Like, it's just like it's something you have to have. Talk a little bit about your journey with social media and then also how it's affecting these young kids coming out of high school and how it's making their mental and like the way they shape themselves, like a big part of their game.
Absolutely. You know what? That's a great point, Stephen. You hit the nail right on the head. This social media stuff, it's amazing, the influence it has on these kids coming out in that age range and when they're here. I've had to get myself versed in it because, I wasn't as dinosaur as V probably, but,
No.
having little kids, and then, Bailey getting older, my oldest now is about to turn 16, that I knew I was on it. Of course, old school with the Facebook. And then all of a sudden I'm seeing the whole Instagram and Snapchat. And, it's like, Bailey, what are you doing? What is that? So she was really into it, got into it. And Kara, my wife, really is into it. And so, I was like, I got to see what's going on. So then I put a coach strictly in charge of social media for the recruits and our team. So basically part of their job is they're patrolling it. Certainly for our team, they're patrolling it to make sure there's nothing that should be out there, that needs to be out there. And we talk to our team every year about what should or shouldn't be on social media and how it can follow you the rest of your life. And it can prevent you from getting jobs. And it can really come back and get you if you're not mindful of what you're putting on there. So that's what we talk to them about. For the recruits coming up, we just like to see kind of what they're doing, and it kind of goes, to their character, kind of that background check we do with the families. We're background checking on the social media and seeing what kind of things that they actually are putting on there right now. And there was just an incident. I won't name the school, but man, if you could see what's on his team in our league, what's on the social media of some recruits that they are just signed, my jaw dropped. Like I went, are you kidding me right now? It's like that. Yeah. And I'm like, but you know what? Clearly we're not lowering our standards and going to that gutter level that these people are of people that are signed. If they do a little background, man, it's embarrassing to me that people in our profession would stoop so low to do some of that stuff, to sign people that if they just do a little research, but to each their own, man, to each their own.
Exactly.
And we're where we're at. But
yeah,
I think it just shapes these kids' lives too much. How many likes do they get? How many followers do they have? I think it really affects their self-worth, and I hate that for them. I always tell them, my daughters, your self-worth isn't contingent on how many followers you have or how many people like a picture that you put on, and it's just sad to me that there are people whose whole self-worth is involved in social media, because I just think it's wrong, and I think it has led to the increased suicide rate, the depression rate. No doubt in my mind, huge influence.
Yeah, wow. Great points too. Like, amen to all of that. We need parents being aware of that, because I think a lot of parents are just like, I don't want to mess with that because I don't get it. But it can be so detrimental for kids, and especially girls growing up, because the pressure on there to look a certain way. And like you said, recruiting wise, it can make you be like, okay, well, this person is who we thought she was. We want to recruit her. Or hard no, red flag, get away, like don't go toward this person, because people can be totally different on social media. So it's like a different way to get to know someone. I want to talk a little bit about like memories and just what ones kind of stand out to you. Just from when I was playing, there are a few that stand out, some funny ones, some scary ones for me, making mistakes. But the fact that you really thought I had a hearing problem early on. And I heard that Drew Ruckelhaus, our trainer at the time, was supposed to give me hearing tests or something to figure out if I actually had a hearing problem.
I thought for sure you did. Like, I'm talking to you and it's like nothing. I'm right there. I'm yelling at you, and you're not even turning around. You're not. I go, that's it. She needs to get checked, man. There's something wrong with that girl's hearing. She is not hearing me. Now, I've only done that to 2 players, you and an unnamed player that was just on my squad. And I have them checked too, because I'm like, I know you can hear me. So I don't know what's going through your head, but I was dead serious. Obviously, I went and had you got your hearing checked. Yep. And lo and behold, great hearing. Okay.
Just wasn't listening.
Selective hearing. Yes, I hear you. I see how it's going now. Yes. That was,
the stomping. The stomping is what I needed to get, like, when we were in games, it was like you'd like stomp on the floor to like act. You're so frustrated because you're like, Alyssa.
Yes. I could have blown my ACL trying to get your attention. I know that.
Imagine that. That would be hilarious. The other one was it's my sophomore year. Jess, Graham, and I were on the court at the end. I think it was Corbin. We were playing Corbin, and it was way closer than it should have been. It was like a last minute thing. We were up, but we needed to run a play to like hold on to the ball and like not lose it. And Jess gives me like this like side glance, like, you drew up a play, and I knew exactly what I was supposed to do. Go one way. And Jess was like, but this way's open right before. Go this way. And of course I did it, and I shouldn't have. And you were not happy because we nearly turned the ball over at the end of the game and like gave Corbin a chance. I don't know if you remember that, but it was in Mem Gym.
Oh yeah, I remember it, because the thought of losing to Corbin,
oh man,
might have just sent me spinning off a cliff. I would never have got back up on it. No. So I was like, "What are you doing? What are you doing?" I know, yes. Sometimes the players think they know best. Of course, I mean, I know you always think you know best, but it's nice when you actually run the play that we've been practicing and do that. That is one thing I learned well in my early career of head coaching, that trying to draw up a play at the end is never a good thing if you've never practiced it. That became my philosophy. I had like what I call my special teams, and I have my special teams players. And pretty much, as you know, Alyssa, at the end of at least 3 times a week, we'd go over sideline, just get it in, sideline to score, sideline to get a 3, baseline to get it in, baseline to get a 3. And there were plays that I would get, honestly, mostly from the NBA, from some college games maybe I saw. And we'd practice those plays, same person taking it out. You're going to shoot it. You're going to screen. So everybody knew, and there was no panic going on when there's 5 seconds left and we're down 1. We knew what we were going to do. And we could run it even without timeouts, because, I would name all the sideline plays of the NBA teams and the cities they were from. The out of bounds plays underneath were all the nicknames of the teams of the NBA teams. So we had the cities and then the nicknames. I don't know if the players ever figured it out, but I knew it because it was
until like, just now.
This is the way it's going to be. So I knew in my mind, this is what it is. This is the play is where it's going to be. And so I could just yell Miami. If I was like Miami, and every player knew exactly where to go without in the middle. No, you take it out. No, you gotta. And all of a sudden, boom, we're hosed. So
Yeah.
yeah, I remember that, and because you didn't run the play, and I was like, okay, we've run it. Now we're going to lose to Corbin, and I'm going to have to cut Alyssa Charleston. Wow, this sucks.
Pack your bags, Liz. That was so funny. Yeah, we learned a lot after that. AKA me, I learned a lot.
Can you kind of expand though on when you have a star player like Alyssa, where you have structure, but then you gave a lot of freedom to these players. Can you kind of talk about that? Because some people, they want the freedom right away as a freshman, or they don't understand that, trust is built over time, definitely. And I obviously work with younger guys too, and it's becoming like more of an issue now, where it's like they want the gratification right away, they want to be the man right away, and you just have to build that trust. If you can like elaborate a little bit more on that.
Yeah, there's no question. And again, I feel like I'm blaming club ball for a lot of stuff, but I think that happens there, and I think that's where that mindset begins. That when they get here, they're the man, and that's it, because they've always been the man, so to speak. But trust is earned over time, and it may be earned over the time of the course of their freshman season, or it may be a couple of years before. Hey, I trust you to bring them, even just bringing the ball in a pressure situation of you're the passer. And it's funny. I was just talking to one of our seniors, Allie Kirby, who goes, yes, I finally could take the ball back in again this year. Because when I was a sophomore, you said, that's it. You're never taking the ball out again. Don't even think about it. And I go, oh, yeah, I remember that. Yeah. And she goes, yeah, me too. And now I got to take it in the clutch. I'm like, yeah, see, you've grown. You got my trust back.
Yeah.
And that's what you do over time. And I think I slowly like to run stuff in practice, knowing that, transport the shooter who would normally be in the game into that spot in a practice to see how they react to that first. And then maybe in games that aren't tight or as close, maybe we're going to run it, see how it goes in some live action. But really the trust is developed for me on a daily basis of the way they perform in practice, how they handle things. And do I think that can translate into the basketball game itself?
Yeah.
And given that offensive freedom, I think I'm really good the last 5 years of defining roles on our team. And our players know who should be getting the shots, when they should be getting those shots, and when certainly I really want them to be taking the shots without having to take a timeout just because of the play I'm running. I'll have a whole list of Beyonce B plays. I want, if we need a 3 from her, a 2 from her, time, score, this is it. Gina's got a list. The 2 players I trust the most with the basketball. At the end of the season, I had my Sid Gandy list. I had my Paris list for my freshmen. And it really worked out good when I was down to those 8 players, and then Beyonce isn't playing and Gina's not playing, down like that senior night game, which still gives me chills to think about that game and what we did this year under the adversity we were in. But I literally made up a chart. I have a sheet of paper. Like, I don't have 8 million cards. That would be a very bad cluster for me, believe me. No, that's not going to work. So I have it all on this piece of paper. But I had up in this corner Paris's plays, and then I had Sid's plays, and then Nina's plays, and what I'm doing for Haley. And if this is what I need, and I'm real big on mismatches. So when I see, and I'll run false stuff to get to the mismatch. Yep. And I know, you guys ran a lot of false stuff, Stephen, watching you guys practice and doing that stuff to get to what you were doing. Yeah. And that's something that I really added to our game of running something. And we started calling it camouflage action. So I'd say, camo, horns, 43, dribble. And it was the end. So we did the camo and the horns, but really we're running our other stuff out of our Thunder action. Yeah. So it's like, and I got this from, I went down and picked Paul Petrino's brain on how they call plays and how they fool teams who know the play calls. Because, there's always some assistant on the other team for us, crouched out in front of the bench, staring at me the whole game, wanting to know what the play call is.
Doing one of those.
I got it. And I love the second time we play them because I'm like, they never get it the first time. There's too many, right? There's too many. Yeah. But then they listen to the tape and they're taking notes and all that. So then the second game, I do the camo and it's hilarious, man. It just messes with their mind. Literally laugh out loud during games sometimes because I know they're so frustrated down there, and I'm just laughing at it. But I'm sorry, I digress from the point of the trust. But the trust is built up in practice, and now I have my go-to players in the clutch, and they're just ranked. If they fouled out, then I'm going to player B. If they're out, I'm going to player C. Or if indeed I have that big mismatch I want, then that person's gonna get that freedom to go and do what they want. I would say on our team, Gina and Beyonce. Gina doesn't take advantage of it as much of the freedom she has. Beyonce certainly has the green light to do whatever she wants. At that most of the time, Michaela Ferenz had that light. Taylor Pierce had the shooting light, and they know it. They know it from me. It's clear, and I think that trust goes both ways. And at the end of the year, Sid Gandy had that, and she's going to have that green light. And she probably doesn't listen to your podcast. I don't know, but it's something I've talked extensively with her that she needs to get and do that and be in that mix. Be the answer. I like in her game the Allen Iversons, and when I was recruiting her, and she doesn't even know it. I could call her the answer.
Love that.
And awesome. I go, hey, when the answer gets here, she needs to get to it. And I've told her that now. So I think the players like having that freedom. There's a lot of freedom in it. And I know, Stephen, you think we ran a lot of dribble weave. And Alyssa, thank you for correcting him that it was shark. It was structured. But a lot of that is just to get to that flip, to get that switch, to then get where I want to get to.
Exactly.
I love that. I think this is such for people who are into basketball and into the logistics, this is so cool to hear you go through some of this stuff and the camo, and you went and talked to Paul Petrino, because when you said that first play, I was like, holy cow, that sounds like a play at the line, quarterback making reads. And it's so cool to kind of see. Obviously there was complication when I played too, but to see it kind of develop is so interesting to me. I am curious, because we've talked about me a lot. I want to know what your take and what you remember from Stephen's game.
Oh no.
Played. Oh, no. If you remember, I know it was 35 years ago.
It was long. But it was a long time ago for you guys, both of you. I know. I remember Stephen. Well, okay. The first thing I remember every time I would see him at first, when I first got this job, was the fact that his sister didn't want to play for me.
Oh,
okay?
that was not
there.
it.
Okay, thanks,
Katie.
She would have been lucky. She would have been lucky to have you. She would have been lucky to have you for sure.
John Newlee, June Doherty.
Yeah, I know. Right. I was like, I get it. All right, Pac-12.
But she's a baller. Yeah.
But I was like, because I knew her game. Obviously, we had played these guys.
Yeah.
And so when I was at Idaho State, and I was like, oh, this is going to be good. I mean, I'll have something when I get there, even though they, are bad, 4-25. And then boom, she was gone. So that's always when I see Stephen and hear his name, I always go right to the sister first. But I'm over it now, Steve. It's good.
Hey, she was a hard worker. She would have worked with you well. She would have worked with you well for sure.
Yeah,
for sure.
She would have.
Awesome.
She would have done great here for sure. I mean, she had a great career as it was.
The situation was just a little different. Yeah.
Yeah, she didn't need me to be great. But,
no.
For you, I remember I heard the hype when you came in. Hey, this guy can really do all this stuff, and I thought you were kind of thin coming in.
Yeah.
Just thin. I go, okay. What's he gonna play? What's he gonna play? And what I really liked about your game, Stephen, watching you the 4 years is, and this is something I always want for my players, and especially the ones that I think are going to be key, is what is their growth from the freshman year to the sophomore year? That, where is that growth right now, and how much effort and time away from practice are they going to put into their game in the weight room and off the, not off our floor and on their own, in their own practice time. And I thought, when I saw you come back, I thought, ooh, that kid got a lot better. I thought you were jumping higher. I thought you were quicker. I thought your shot release was quicker, because I thought that slowed you down as a freshman. I thought your release needed to be quicker. Because, time and space from high school to here, it's crazy. It's just crazy. And that's the one thing I think players don't get initially. And how quick freshmen adapt to time and space really tells a lot about how their freshman year is going to go. Unless they're just a total, killer beast, and they're going to get it done. Yeah. But then the versatility in your game. I thought, oh, did they bring him in just to be a shooter? Is he just a shooter? No. And then I thought, no, he's a scorer. And I love the way that you could score around the hoop, undersized. And as you got stronger, you just got better and better at that.
Yeah.
I'd be amazed some of the shots that you'd make. I'd go,
right?
How you even got it off, and then 2, how it went in. I was like, holy crap. And honestly, it's something that I've talked a lot with Beyonce about, that part of her game, of really making that a bigger part of her game and being able to do that, take a bunch of hits, still finish at odd angles, and be able to do that. And again, I really liked what you said, Stephen, I think it was last week, about, hey, I knew at the end of a game, if I wasn't getting touches and people were making comebacks, or this game's going south, that I'd get pissed and it'd be like, give me the ball. Yeah. And I love that attitude. And I think it was what made Alyssa great. It's what made Salvatore, when she was here, great. Stacey Barr great. And Mike great. Michaela great. Those great players have that attitude. They have that attitude right there, is this is going south. Give me the damn ball. I'm going to score or I'm getting fouled. And I can tell you right now, Beyonce and Gina both have to have that attitude for me, because that's something we missed last year. And I didn't have that person that would step up and actually be like that and really say to their teammates, give me the damn ball. And I love it. And our success, a lot of our success, because I had players like you that had that attitude like I just named. Hey, Carly Wilson, all 5'2" of her, was like that. Give me the damn ball. I don't care.
Yes.
You can't get it done, I'll get it done. It's fantastic.
Yeah. Oh, shout out to Carly Wilson. Love her. Yeah. But that is so true. Stephen, you had that killer mindset, and he talked about falling in love with the weight room. You just could, and loving contact. That got a little creepy when he was like craving contact.
No, I use it to my advantage.
You did.
I use it to my advantage. You can, when you start to feel people, and kind of like Newlee said, like I came in as a 190-pound, like 2-3 man. Like I was trying to be a 2-man. All I did was dunk and shoot threes in high school. And I just realized I want to get the easiest baskets I possibly can. And I know going to get into the line is going to give us easy baskets at the same time. And it was just something I developed over time, especially. And that's what I talk to a lot of guys now about, is even if you're undersized, there's still ways to get the shot fakes, your footwork around the rim to take advantage of these bigger guys. It's all about getting them off balance and using that to your advantage.
Right. Hey, without it. Yeah, there's no doubt. And you got to have that mentality, of course, it's been blown up now with Kobe's death, but Alyssa, I've always been, Kobe's always been my favorite player. Growing up in Southern California with the Lakers, and the Lakers have always been my team. And Kobe in particular, once he got, to be a Laker and got into his prime and all that stuff. And of course, I'm always a big Showtime lover with Magic and the Worthy One and all those guys, Byron Scott and those guys. But Kareem. But when Kobe really took over and became the man with the Lakers and what he did. I gave team 2 years ago the book, the Mamba Mentality book, that big book that has all the pictures. I got everybody a copy. I made them read it. We went over it. I said, this is a mindset, of how it needs to be, this Mamba mentality. And my freshmen are really on it. They're Southern California kids. They're Laker fans too, which is great. And they've really bought into it. Taylor was really into that. And getting that mentality is, as on my office wall, my wife gave me a signed Kobe autographed jersey, and that's when,
nice.
That's when I knew that I had married the right woman.
Oh man, that's awesome.
Oh, it's so freaking cool.
Yeah.
Kara, you are the MVP.
There it is. Yes. And there's
Unreal.
The book. I don't know if that's showing up, but
yeah.
Yep.
So, I got it on the little table in my office, man. I'll still thumb through that thing and bring through it. And, there's a lot of wisdom in there. But again, like I said, I'm a basketball coach. We steal from the greats. We steal our stuff and put it all together and see how it comes out in the oven, man.
Yeah. I think one of the player that's really stands out to me, and it was something that you and I had to work on a lot for me to get to that mentality. And I don't even know if I ever got to where I could be, like later on. I think it took some years and some growth, because I was like I don't want to be the person to, step on toes and make people think that I was superior. And that was like that humble mindset. But the Stacey Barr totally had that Mamba mentality the second she walked in the door. And it was something that was like frustrating sometimes for us, like once we got junior, senior year, but like you look back on that and there's no way we win those WAC championships without Stacy and her mentality. And like, it's fascinating how some players have it, but you also built that in me. Like you believed in me before I even did. And I still talk about that whenever I talk to someone about who I am today, the leader I am today, the confidence I have today. It's 100%. It started in Moscow, Idaho with you believing in me and empowering me before I even knew what I could be. So like, how do you go about doing that? And how do you kind of choose which players, how do you figure out which players you can do that with?
Right. Yeah, you're right. Because you can't do that with everybody. It's not going to happen. It's not going to work. I kind of want to see, their skill set on the floor, and is it going to be possible, what you can do. And like a player like you was perfect for it because you were long, you could score around either hand around the basket, but you could shoot the three, you ran the floor, you had mid-range game, you had it all. You just didn't know you had it all. And I think, I have, Beyonce still is a good example of that for us here. I think Michaela coming in at first didn't understand it. Even a Christina Salvador, I think, I had to really do that with her, with all of her skill set. I think you see it, and are they open to that? And do they want it? So I'll just kind of try things, ask questions, have talks. Like me and you had a lot of talks about, look, this is what I see in you. Do you want to be this person or not? If you don't want it, then we're not going to waste time trying to develop it. But when I ask that question, do you want to be this player? Is this a goal of yours? Is this something you see yourself being? If that answer is yes, then I'm all in. And then I'm giving you stuff to read. And I'm giving you, pulling on my experience with other players. Like this kid was a great example at Idaho State. This girl named Natalie Doma, who a 6'3" kid I got out of Canada, who was lightly recruited, honestly. I mean, UW did recruit her some. But, whatever, 10 schools. I got her down there because I had good Canadian connections at that point. But she comes in as a 6'3" kid around the basket, kind of raw, but could run, turned into the Big Sky, the all-time leading rebounder and scorer in Big Sky history.
Wow.
In Big Sky history by the time she left. Now, Michaela topped her scoring-wise by the time she left, which is crazy to me. So I was fortunate enough to coach a post player who was the all-time leading scorer in Big Sky history, and then a guard who became the all-time leading scorer. But, by the end, Natalie's shooting threes. She's taking these running hooks, and because she knew I was good with it. And she was that player, like, give me the effing ball in games. And there was no stopping her. It was like, give Alyssa the ball. Let's go. But you got to want it. And it's a slower process. It can be a quick process, like you said, because I believe you. When Stacey Barr showed up here, it was full on, give me the ball. The great Stacey Barr is here, and get out of my way.
From wherever.
I saw that down there, man, and I was like, yep, that's her. So that was definitely her. And people fed off that, and you're right. The way she elevated her game in the WAC tournaments was unbelievable. Like, literally unbelievable, even for those of us who had seen her do that kind of stuff in practice. Just get pissed off in practice sometime, and then just go, hey, I'm tired of this. I'm tired of playing. Honestly, you can almost see in her mind, I'm tired of these clowns. The circus is over. Give me the ball. Let me get this done, and then I'm going home.
This is over. Yeah.
That's her.
I respected it so much. I respected it a lot later, like more so than in the moment. And it's just
for sure.
She's so unique.
Well, that
Stephen,
personality can rub people the wrong way, and ultimately, it did, and it cost us, I think, for a year. Certainly, it did. And them not understanding, I think some of the teammates not understanding, quite what she brought us in the big picture. And again, there's the big picture. And again, like me, I gotta treat people different, and that's one thing. Like I always tell our players when they get here on that meeting on Sunday at my house before everything starts is, I'm not going to coach you all the same because you're all not the same person. So don't worry about the way I coach Susie over here and the way I'm coaching Jane over here, because those things don't correlate to you.
Yeah.
You better worry about how I'm coaching you and how I'm motivating you and how I'm getting the most out of your potential, and not how I'm getting the most out of Alyssa. Because yeah, I'm spending more time with you and developing your mental game and some other stuff that I know you're capable of doing. Whereas maybe this player, she's a 3-point shooter. That's what she is. And in my system, that's what she's going to do. So I'm not practicing runners and floaters and all that stuff because I don't want her taking the ball to the basket because bad things are happening. So know how to come off a pick, know how to shoot the ball coming off a pick with or without the ball, and play me some defense, please, and you're going to get minutes. But you know what? This player is going to do a lot more things and either live with it or there's the door. See you later. There's 25 people calling me daily wanting to be a Vandal. So there you go.
Very true.
Only the strong survive.
Oh,
Only the
boy.
strong survive.
I wish I had $1 for every
words
time I do that because and that has been a constant.
That's
all
awesome.
My time at Idaho State all the way through, and I know you guys are like, here it comes because
here it comes.
We had somebody leave, it'd be like, whatever, man. Only the strong survive. Ready, Vandals, let's go. On to the next. Yep.
You weed out the ones that aren't willing to be there, and it totally worked.
Yep.
I'll always remember that.
Well, I have one more question for you, Coach. So obviously, you probably get asked this a lot. You've had so much success at Idaho. You've been there for a while. What has not drawn you to leave the University of Idaho for a bigger, better job?
Well, I think one is what we've developed here in the program, and not really wanting to start over at the rock bottom like I did at Idaho State and here, to build up the programs to the NCAAs like I did at both places. I think, there certainly has been offers come my way, and I'm starting to get a few more now. I think the arena is great, and I've been waiting for that to take place, which I think is going to be a game changer for us. Sure. But, Moscow is a great place to raise a family. And as a single dad, when I was here with Bailey, I had a lot of support, not only from my assistant coaches, but from the department here. Shout out to Rob Spear, who, totally allowed me to be a single dad. It's the reason a lot of people don't understand why I left Idaho State, an NCAA team, a 20-win team, loaded with all those players coming back. And they went to the NCAA tournament again with my players in 2012. But they weren't going to allow me to have Bailey, my daughter, who was then 1.5 at the time, to travel on university vehicles. Well, I had a university car. I mean, we're riding on the bus. We're doing it. And they, new AD came in, new president, and they said, sorry. And I go, I'm a single dad for a month at a time. She's with me all the time. She has to be. And they said, no exceptions. And I said, then I'm getting another job. And honestly, I couldn't leave the state of Idaho because my custody would have got sent back where my ex-wife went to Louisiana. Oh. So I literally thought, I'm going to be working at 7-Eleven in Pocatello, maybe, because I'm not giving up custody of my daughter. That was not that was my priority. And at the same time that had happened, DeVilbiss got fired here. This job opened up. One of my ADs that had been previously at Idaho State that was cool with me and Bailey was then an assistant AD. I think then he was San Diego State. He's the head at UTEP now, head AD at UTEP, best AD ever. I can tell you that. A guy named Jim Center got a hold of Rob and said, hey, John Newlee needs a job, is not happy. You can get him. I think you can get him. And man, it was like, honestly, prayers answered. I came up here. Krista was from Pullman, and I had recruited her out of Pullman High. Loved the Palouse. I hadn't really known the Palouse, honestly, besides coming up here once for a game. Yeah. Came in, I'm in. And it was a done deal. On my little interview, as they call it, I came up and it was offered. I took it, and that's how I ended up here. And so, I had a lot of loyalty to people who had done that for me. And, department was really close and good at that point. And the town is fantastic for families. You can't live in a safer place. There's really virtually no crime here. Great, beautiful campus. It was all going good. So that's what's kept me here. There certainly has been a lot more offers the last few years. Now that I've kind of shown sustainability here of winning and our culture and how many championships. So It's interesting. Let me just say, it's interesting when people call now.
Yeah.
I'm hoping that the Idaho Vandals still want me here, and they'll show that here in the off season, is what I'm hoping.
Okay. Message delivered. Message sent. No matter what, your resume speaks for itself, no matter what. And I didn't know the background of. I know Bailey was so important, and so I mean, the big reason why I chose Idaho was I knew you were going to be there for a while, but to see and to hear that Idaho State just didn't quite do enough, and Rob Spear loved him to death. I mean, he was a fantastic athletic director when I was there, so all the support in the world for him too. But Idaho would be very smart to continue to make that place a place you call home. I wanted to ask two quick things about the arena. Can you just give us an update on that and like what you think of it and how good it's looking?
Literally, I was in there a couple weeks ago, maybe 3 now. It's getting close to getting done, but you can see what it's going to be now. And real quick, I was lucky enough to be in on the design of the locker rooms, the practice court, all that stuff when it first started with the architects. So I love the fact that Rob got me involved and Verlin involved in all that of what we wanted and what would be great for us in recruiting and the players and what we really wanted. So,
That's awesome.
Love the fact that I was involved in that. And now to see it all come to fruition as it is, like I got chills in there. It's like nothing you've ever seen. And I've been in a lot of arenas. I've been in a lot of new arenas. It is the shape, the design, and just how great, how intimate it's going to be and how loud it will be if the students start coming out to our games.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Such a huge game changer for us, because the one thing I've always lacked here when going up against bigger programs, so to speak, is facilities. And they throw it in my face. We have an arena. You're playing in a 100-year-old gym over there, or a football stadium converted. And I heard, I know we were getting, recruited on like that, but I had no answer. It's like Hoosiers in Mem Gym. Okay, it was like Hoosiers. Okay, hey, that was really cool when they curtain it off. It's like the Carrier Dome. It's all curtained off. You gotta make stuff up to make it look better. And again, we did a good job and we did the best we could. But now. And the fact that those players will be able to go in and work on their own game 24/7 is, people don't understand. That is the biggest, I think, thing that's going to help us besides the recruiting. Those two things, and the fact that we now can practice whenever we want, when the classes make it good. We don't have to go at weird, odd times, and it's just going to make life easier all the way around. It's awesome. Unbelievable how great that arena is going to be.
Hey, I'll tell you this. I was told like my sophomore year that it was going to be built in 2 years, or when I was getting recruited. So, hey, it's finally done.
Brother.
It's done.
Amen, brother.
It's done. It's done.
Process. Man, I'm so excited.
Oh,
cannot wait to see.
And everyone's like, hey, okay, great. Like the Splash Sisters. Oh, great. But we're not going to be here. Yeah. And then the 14 this year, just on that edge, of not making it. So, that's why I'm putting together an alumni game and, bringing it back and going, hey, you guys can play in the arena. Because I did promise people they'd be playing in an arena.
Exactly.
My word, man. I'm a man of my word. I will tell you. So great. I'm at least going to give them the opportunity to come back. If they say no, if they can't make it, well, they had their chance. So I'm definitely
they had their chance.
Definitely big on my list for sure.
All right, I got to start getting in shape.
Okay. Yep. Get ready.
I'm not trying to get embarrassed in this alumni game.
Yes. I got
Love
one quick Alyssa story for you that probably is maybe one of my all-time favorites to show, I think, what she was all about as a player here, Stephen, if I can. Yeah. We had a game and she was sick. And she played in like 130 or some consecutive games.
I beat her.
She's sick.
Sorry. I got her by like 2 games.
So annoying.
She was sick. And I'm like, oh man. And we're over in the dome. And she's in the, the doctor's office that's in the training room. And I'm like, well, she's sick. What do you mean she can't play? What do you mean she can't play? I'm telling the trainer. She's throwing up. She's too sick. She can't play. I'm like, well, he said, we're going to give her some fluids. We'll give her some fluids. You can check at halftime. I go, okay, all right. So we're playing. And I'm like, every time I'm like, I'm sending the assistant back. I go check and see how Alyssa's doing in that training. I'm like, this is not going good for us. It's not going good for us. Halftime comes, goes. I'm like, okay, can she give it a shot? And she comes staggering out like, I'm really going to date myself though, like the old Willis Reed against the Lakers coming through the tunnel. If we would have had a big crowd, they would have been really loud. But really, it was the whole Willis Reed moment. I got chills watching her come out, and I'm like, let's go. And it's kind of like that. She goes in, hits a bucket, misses a shot, hits a bucket. That's it. But gave us that shot that we needed in the arm. And it was an important game. Like I really can't remember who it was. It was an important league game.
San Jose State. Yeah.
Yeah, San Jose State. I was going to say that. I was like, am I right on that? San Jose State, we needed to win. And she was willing to take the fluids, come off the table, go out and play, do it, and then call it. And that's all you need to know about Alyssa Charleston and her greatness at Idaho. I can tell you that.
Awesome. That's awesome story.
I so appreciate that. And for what people didn't know, if they don't remember, there were several trips to the bathroom, porta potty, whatever it was near there, because we were not feeling good. Fluids were still not staying down. But they weren't. That was afterward, I felt fantastic. I was like, I feel like Michael Jordan, flu game. What?
Right?
No, but that was a ton of fun. And last memory for me, that I will always remember too. And it kind of, I feel like summarizes our relationship and what we are now. Cause you and I could go grab a beer together. And I think that's so freaking cool. Cause I don't think a lot of players that I played and grew up with, that played in college don't have that relationship with their college coach. And I value that so much. But it was after we made it to the NCAA tournament, second time playing Louisville. We didn't beat Louisville. We were in that Iowa locker room that was so tiny and like so thin and narrow. But after the game, it was really tough. And you and I kind of knew like, this is it. Like, this is really the last of, for me, the best 4 years of my life and the most like growth. And we both stayed after and like just kind of wept, like cried because it was so like coming to an end, but like what a beautiful ride. And I continually just get chills thinking about it because you taught me so much. I grew so much underneath your leadership. And I just knew like, this isn't the end. Like we still get to be cool friends after this for a long time. But it was so sad and emotional because it's like, that was everything. Like that's your whole life. And it was coming to an end.
That's yes, I clearly remember that moment. I always do remember the end of the careers of the very special players that come through. And obviously you're at the top of that list for me. And the fact that it is cool, I think that you think it's cool that you can come have a beer with me and have that relationship. That's like a goal of mine is players, if they would come back and sit down and have a beer and feel comfortable enough and understand, yeah, there were times when you hated my guts. I get it, but I'm not doing my job if you're not. If you're not hating my guts at times, I'm not doing my job the way I need to be doing it. And to be able to separate that and understand, making you the best player you can be and the best person along the way as well, and how that's going to develop you into your career and everything. I think it's great. We just hired Taylor Pierce as an assistant, full-time assistant.
Awesome.
And the fact that she couldn't wait to come back and say yes and be a Vandal again and come back and be part of the program and all those people that are like that, they just make me feel so good and so proud of the job I did with you guys as people, not on the floor. The floor speaks for itself. Everybody can see that. But as people and human beings, man, I love it. The fact that we have our relationship and I have that with some of these players now, it just, Allie's like that now, Carly's like that, Michaela, Taylor, those guys, some special. And I hope it continues with these guys that have graduated down the line and have that special ability to bond and connect because, I owe so much to my players. That's always been my mindset is I owe it to my players. I owe the thanks to my players and their parents. Shout out to your parents. I love your parents, man.
Nance.
These guys are the best. They are the best, man. But, to have that relationship with the parents too. And it starts with that, but then with you guys, as the years go by, that's what it's all about for me. And it's a big thank you to you guys for making that happen for me. It's not really the other way around.
Love that. Yeah. My parents may be the only ones who decided to go on a trip to Cancun after I graduated to watch you guys play. Like, oh yeah, you're just going to watch you play. You're trying to get a Cancun trip out of that.
That was the best ever. You're not even there, not even playing. Like, what are they doing here? We're like, we're coming.
So
we're
funny.
the Vandals.
I love it. Family,
That's
true
awesome.
family, true family.
Yes.
And I think all three of us, Stephen and I, want to do a trip out to Moscow. We need to either go to Corner Club or invade your house and have a beer, have a tub at the club or something like that.
Oh yeah,
Definitely.
I saw in the last one you haven't ever had a tub at the club. Jeez, come on.
Jeez, come on.
Expand your horizons a little bit, Alyssa. I taught you that too.
I had too many.
Take on the
I
challenge.
made up for hers. I made up
Stephen
for hers.
had more
Don't
than-
worry.
yeah.
I
Don't worry.
heard you do all right over at the club.
Yeah, I do all
Yeah,
right
it's
over there.
okay. Yeah.
Rumor has it.
Up your end. For sure. For sure. Well, I love you guys' podcast, man, and I know it's going the right way. I've told Alyssa since day one. I can't wait to see you on ESPN. You know, I don't even know if that's a goal of hers anymore, but as I watch all those people doing all the sideline and doing the games, whatever, I don't care what role it is, you need to be on there.
Yes,
there's some
she
people that
does.
need to be out and you need to be in. So
She does.
call because I'm making the call when this is over. I'm ready.
He's making the call.
He's making the call.
The biggest fan, biggest supporter, and you always. I so appreciate that. Coach, thank you so much for coming on. We appreciate it. It was a ton of fun, and I think we'll have to have you back at some point.
Oh, I'm ready to come back whenever you guys will have me. This is awesome. And Stephen, thanks, man. And I know we didn't do any talking really about you too much, but your career was amazing here. And I'm still pissed for you guys that you blew that championship game.
Oh man,
I was like, okay, here it goes. We're both teams are going. Everybody's dancing. Everybody's happy. We've done it. So, man, I know how that feels because I've been at the wrong end of games, clearly. Championship game as well, and it's much better with the net around your neck.
That was
right.
That was special. That was special though. That was a special time, especially in Idaho history, just men's and women's that year.
There you go.
It was.
Yeah, it really was, and that picture tells it all.
That's awesome.
That picture is that this picture? Well, it's definitely on our wall. I'm trying to think if this is this is the big sky one. That's the latest one that makes it on the wall.
Oh yeah.
But you guys that picture you're holding is on the, where everybody can see it in the hallway. So
that's awesome.
Love it.
Don't worry, it'll be over in the arena somewhere.
I love it.
Yeah.
Yes. Well, shout out to both men's and women's programs.
Like I said, I'd love to come back whenever you guys will have me. This is awesome. I could do this all day.
Definitely, Coach. We really
Can we get you to say there are no bad shots or something like that?
There are no bad shots, especially on this podcast.
Yes. Perfect.